Wonderful. Good afternoon and happy Thursday. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes as others may be joining us and before we go ahead and get started. So welcome to our webinar on TLMI's 46th Printing Excellence Awards. Minute is really long when you just sit and wait.
There's still people joining, though. I can see it adding up.
Good. The way that I have mine in, I can't see that. So we'll just give them another minute and then we'll kick it off. All right, great. Well, we'll go ahead and get started and appreciate everyone who has joined us today. My name is Linnea Keen. I'm president of TLMI, and I have the pleasure of my co-host here, Paul Teachout from Harper Corporation, and he is the Print Awards Committee Chair and my my faithful companion as we both have taken on the task of this year reimagining the Print Awards, Printing Excellence Awards. So this is our 46th annual Printing Excellence Awards. We have changed the name just slightly so that it would represent what we're striving for and what we're showcasing, that is the excellence in printing in our industry that happens each and every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. So we really wanted to, share with you what was behind the changes and then our goals for achievement, and then answering any questions that you may have. So I'll go ahead and kick us off, and then Paul will take over and walk through the steps as we went through our journey here. So yes, it's always the slide, right, of moving forward. So what are the Printing Excellence Awards? Well, for TLMI, our Printing Excellence Awards are really designed to do is exactly as I had mentioned before, is that, forecasting or moving forward too quickly. So is that excellence, the outstanding achievements in printing and converting in our North American label and packaging industry. So many of our members work across the country. They're servicing brands and users and end users and small business owners, both locally, regionally, nationally, and globally. So we want to elevate that and really bring that distinction and celebrate those outstanding achievements. And it's our goal to recognize all printing processes, as the printing processes have evolved over time. So our goal is to evolve with it. And more importantly, we want it to be all inclusive. So we recognize that there have been over the years this tendency for it to seem as though it's a wine and spirits show. That's been our feedback from some, and that's not at all the case. So as Paul has been part of this for quite a number of years, we have usually over 200 submissions for the Print Awards. And it's an amazing process to watch the room full of outstanding judges, esteemed judges, work through those to select the best in class and best in show. So we got together last year at the TLMI Committee Summit, And we kicked off the opportunity to reimagine those awards so that we could be more inclusive and better represent the industry. So with that, I'm going to let Paul kick us off. He's going to talk through how they've evolved, what's required, and we'll be tag teaming along the way. Your turn, Paul.
Perfect. Thank you, Linnea, and thank you everybody for joining us today as we continue to build on the excitement of this year's competition. Really looking forward to a lot of the changes that we've made this year that quite drastically changed the whole entry process. We have to continually keep up with the times and the trends and innovation and technologies that are out there. And obviously that changes packaging design, how it's converted and how it's printed across multiple different platforms. What's great about the tag and label is it doesn't matter how you print a tag and label, what process or what method you print it in, there's a home for you to compete against your peers with this competition, unlike other associations that may be only solely focused on a single application. So this really brings to light the opportunity for any print process and any print vertical or any market vertical to join into this competition and have a home to really compete with your peers, with your methods, and to really see how you stack up. So it's an adoption of all current printing methods. As we say, this is flexo, it's digital, gravure, offset, screen, and we even run a multi-process. So if you're running hybrid equipment or platforms with multiple different processes on them, you have the opportunity to compete against your peers that stack up in that vertical as well. We really tried to expand the market verticals this year with, again, like, excuse me, there's a fire truck going by, but we tried to expand the market verticals this year to not only include the wine and spirits like Linnea mentioned, but beverage, both non-alcoholic and alcoholic. We kind of separated those a little bit because beer and ales have never been in the wine and spirits, but we wanted to make sure that they had a specific category, especially with the proliferation of craft breweries and stuff like that, that are becoming more and more common in our competition, and especially incorporating much more embellishment techniques to make them more appealing. But food, household, personal care, and cosmetics has been separated from wellness and pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals. And then we have industrial, promotional, extended content, and then an innovation category has returned to our competition because over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen many more new opportunities and new techniques and applications that have risen up that deserve to be recognized. So we've brought that back, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing more and more of these new embellishment techniques or technology techniques, security techniques brought into the competition so we can all continue to see these and move forward. So the market has changed quite drastically, especially over the last 5 or 10 years, where, you know, even 10 years ago, we might have had 5 digital samples in the categories listed. Now the digital category represents about half our entries. So as these technologies continue to grow and expand, so will our competition. So we can move on there. So why we changed them? A lot of the reasons for the that I just mentioned. We wanted to make sure that everybody's market vertical was recognized within these competitions and not just the print process. We didn't just want to judge flexo against flexo, but we wanted to also be able to judge vertical against vertical. So when we go through this process now, you're going to be competing with other market providers that are in your exact market space. So it's really an opportunity for you to stack up well against your immediate peers. Align with the competition for market verticals, create a visible connection with the labels on the shelf and application. That was very key to us. Align the converters to go to market and serve their customers. Labels in each market segment will produce using different print methods. So the way we've organized the entry sheet this year and the way the description of the guidelines are, it's all going to be done online. And as we go through this online process and check off the verticals in the print process and the methods that you use for each, including, you know, line work, line and screen, color process, prime, these are all still included in our generic traditional applications in our entry process. But what this online process is going to do also is allow us to streamline the entire entry process, because for us, it automated something that used to be very manual. And now it would automatically filter your entries right into the category or buckets, you might say, that they belong in. So it really streamlines the process, not only for the person entering, but for the people that have to process the entire management process of the entries. As Linnea says, with over 200 entries coming from multiple different categories and market verticals, it can get a little confusing, especially when you don't have as many people as familiar with certain vocabularies that we can all discuss. So going through an automated process will automatically put these in the right place and where they need to be in the proper alignment of the entry. So let's keep moving forward. So the new categories, as I mentioned, are wine and spirits. That's including neck labels and the supporting information. If it's a wine and label spirit or anything referencing wine and spirits, it's going to be in that category. Beverages, we kind of broke this into two subcategories, alcohol and non-alcohol. So that way a craft brewery beer isn't going up against a water bottle. So even in the beverages category, there are two subcategories there to make sure that we're aligning those verticals properly. And then food, and then household under the counter, like your household chemicals and cleaners and just household goods and items. And then personal care and cosmetics, which is another one of those categories, especially through COVID, exploded. So we were getting a lot more entries there just for personal care and hygiene. Wellness and pharmaceuticals, we kind of separated that away from personal care because pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals is kind of its own market segment there that we want to make sure are all within each other. And then industrial, including automotive, promotional and extended content. And then again, as I mentioned, the innovation category where we'll accept a lot of single application or like linerless labels or indirect flexo, for instance, or sustainability initiatives that people are being innovative with right now. So we've reintroduced the innovation category. So the primary print method would be the second box that you're going to check through after you pick your print market vertical. And you're going to decide, did I do this digital, flexo, rotary screen, offset, or did I use a multi-process? And those check boxes are all there on the new entry form online. And then you would include if the label is a line work, line and screen, or color process prime. So those are very simple. The categories and the boxes that you're going to check on the entry form that will automatically input it into the proper category and bucket.
Yeah, and just to further to build on what Paul has just shared, when we looked at the primary market verticals, we did try to narrow them down to as many, minimize the number of those verticals. There will be questions, we're sure, about where they go. If you have those, we have information later, but you please just reach out and Paul will help guide us. If not, don't worry, you can submit and they will be reallocated to the proper bucket. So one of the things to note about this whole process is we gathered together and that we was inclusive of converters. So we had four label converters members who were part of this process along with Paul and his team of judges. So we had a nice representation and some really great discussions about, aligning with the vertical markets, because that's how it's identifiable to all of us who are in the market, but also for those who are operating in your factories and your manufacturing locations and printing the product on the presses. So we wanted to really draw that connection, but really what drives it is about the primary print method, the processes used, the quality, the workmanship, it was just a way of how to categorize them for judging.
Yeah, and to a little bit more on that too, I think we picked 4 converters that from 4 completely different, I shouldn't say completely different, but kind of different methods. One was solely digital. One was solely flexo. One was multi-process, has a lot of different multi-processing platforms in their plant. And one has not only flexible packaging experience, but prime label, but also a little knowledge on the offset side as well, and those types of techniques. So the converter panel was kind of specifically selected, you might say, and some of them were very new to our process, and some of them were veterans to the awards process. So that meeting, I think it went a little longer than we expected, but the information that came out of it really led us in the direction that we went in to not only align our market in our awards program with the proper print methods and market verticals that our converters have, but also closely align ourselves now a little bit better with the World Label Awards, because this is similar how FENAT and how some other associations do it, to where they can closely align with the World Label Awards too. So now it'll be even easier for us to provide our entries to that as well.
Right. Well, here's an example, Paul, for you to walk through just as before we get to the online submission, just so they can see what does that mean in practice, right?
Yeah. Well, so what that means in practice is when we go through those basic 3 categories that we're going to select the primary items of our entry, this is how it's going to dump into the bucket. I mean, it's pretty basic. The top 10 there on the left, where the beverages, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, are actually broken up. There's truly 9 buckets. But we went to a 4-digit number with those to identify the market vertical, and then the 2-digit number after that would resemble what print process that the entry is in, and then to the top right. Then once you select your line and screen tone or color process, it would then compile. The algorithms will then take those entry numbers, or take those entry selections, and add and put these numbers together to where we would have an entry example like what you say here, like 2023 would be an entry number of a label that's a beverages, it's alcoholic, it's done with Flexo, it's color process, and then that would then automatically put that into the bucket, and then with the other attributes that you include on your entry form, because we can't also stress enough that adding bios on how the label was done, what was challenging about it, what was my customer looking for, and how did I deliver that? Providing a live sample. If it's a household chemical, provide us the bottle with the label on it and let us see the practical use of it. So the live samples sometimes go a long way, especially because the judging does get very tight and complicated. It sometimes becomes debatable within the judges. So having those live samples sometimes to see the practical and application use of the product really allows the judges to say, now I know why they designed it that way. Now I know why they look at how this looks on the bottle with that particular background, or that opacity, or whatnot on the final application. So sometimes just providing a live sample and a live product really allows us to see how the label is applied and how the end user sees it. And sometimes that really helps the judges make a final decision. So bios and samples, I can't stress enough. Tell us how you did it and why it was difficult, and then show us how great it looks on the product.
So Paul, we have one question has come through, and it said, if an industry is not listed, what is the option for the submission? One, you could do one of 2 things would be recommended. You could reach out to us at office@tlmi.com and we'll provide you an answer. Or if you're in the form real time, make your best guess and submit it. And the reason for that is Paul comes in the day before and he reviews all of the submissions and all of the entries. So if it is not the right category, or if it's not listed, then we would put it in an appropriate one, or we will create another category to represent that. So we knew that could be it could be an item that we would have to work through during this first year in this new format, but that would be our recommendation.
Yeah, and that's not, and we truly appreciate that question, because that's a good one. And that's one that we've had many times over the years, not just this year. So even with the changes that we've made, sometimes there is a product. I mean, there's lots of labels and tags out there that represent a lot of different products. And these buckets tend to capture probably 95% of it, but absolutely sometimes there's going to be one that we need to find a home for, or create a category if it has enough competition to create a category. So, but otherwise we would put it maybe in that single application or innovation, and if it doesn't really fall in one of the others, but we will certainly find a home for the entry.
And I would also say, just to further, to add here, when we're talking about labels, that can be any label. So whether that is pressure sensitive label, that's a shrink sleeve label, that's in mold, cut and stack, tag, linerless, whatever the label is, it's for package decoration or product information. Any of those labels that are printed and converted are qualified for submission. All right, Paul, we're going to move on to our next
Yep.
slide. So why should you enter? Why
Well,
should they enter, Paul?
I mean, to me, there's tons of reasons. To me, number one, being a member of the TLMI is about participation. And all I know is the more that I've participated over the years, be it at any committee or at any level or at judging or being awards chair or print think or just at any level, I've always been rewarded tenfold in the opportunity to participate in any program that TLMI has. So this particular program is an opportunity to showcase and celebrate your award-winning work and the everyday work that you do in your building, like Linnea mentioned earlier. Bringing home an award from the TLMI Awards not only builds your own brand recognition, but empowers your team. It builds a winning culture within your team. It shows your brand owners that they're working with an award-winning printer and converter that can really empower them to do more business with you as well. So to me, the awards program provides endless opportunity, not only internally, but externally in brand recognition and brand identity, both within the industry, your peers and your brand owners, but certainly within your own organization. It's an opportunity, again, to showcase your best work amongst your peers, be recognized at the celebration event that this year will be at the Broadmoor, which I don't know about you guys, but I'm absolutely excited about. It's one of my favorite places to go to with the TLMI. And this year's event is stacking up to be one of our best. The Broadmoor is an exceptional place to be, and to celebrate this year's award-winning work is going to be real exciting there. But and again, just to increase the employee engagement, I've seen some companies out there that obviously a lot of the customers that I go to have these awards hanging on their walls, hanging in their lobby, hanging in their hallways. And there's a sense of pride there as you walk through those hallways. And I can only imagine when you're walking customers through and they see these awards and accolades that are on your walls, that they know who they're dealing with, and they know they're dealing with a premier label converter in our industry. But for the employees internally to walk by that and see that and know that they had a hand in that their talents and their expertise, their wisdom and their craftsmanship had something to do with entering that award and bringing home that award, I think that brings tremendous culture incentives to your workplace, knowing that the team that you're building there is a winning team. They know it, they act like it, and they'll show it not only today and tomorrow, but well into the future.
Great, thank you. And there's, like you said, there's so many more reasons, and then that we can build on. And when you talk to some of our members who have won awards and why they enter, they would emulate and share those same sentiments. So who can enter and participate? All TLMI members can participate, all TLMI converter members can participate. Yeah. And size of the company doesn't matter. We want this to be an inclusive organization, inclusive event, and inclusive participation. So that is our goal here. That's really why the shift, we really heard from feedback from our members, from our board members, and this solicited a lot of input that, Paul and myself and others put together to come to where we are. So everyone is welcome to join. As Paul mentioned, we will recognize the award winners at the TLMI annual meeting on Monday, October 16th. As he said, we've got 9 best in class and 1 best in show. So there's a total of 10 awards. For those award winners, first of all, you're celebrated by your peers, recognized there. We do, it's a special night. We've now have 3 nights worth of evening receptions and activities, and we separated out the print awards and the Calvin Frost Sustainability Awards from our annual member awards, just so that we could elevate both of those, each of them. So we could elevate and give them each all the recognition they deserve. And along with that, we produce videos. We have a partner, a video production crew that produces videos of the award winners. The nice part is we did our first ones last year. If you haven't checked them out, please do so. But it's to share what the judges saw. Why was that label selected? All of the categories and attributes that it's judged on. That that video is played that evening to announce the award winner, and then it's available for your own use and promotion, and highly encourage that. Then the award winners are featured in our media partner publications, Labels and Labeling, Labels and Narrow Web, Packaging Impressions and Converter Quarterly, and additionally, social media promotion. We put it on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram, and then it's amazing how many others the award winners do, and soon it's just a flurry of activity. And then there's submission in the Global Label Awards. So each year at the Label Expo, there's Global Label Awards awarded. We're back on track post-COVID, and that will take place this year at Label Expo Europe. So Paul can speak to it. I just know it's happening. It's the first time I'm going to experience it. But who gets entered into the Global Label Awards, Paul?
Well, all the award best in class winners. So obviously the best in show is one of those, but all the best in class winners will be submitted into the World Label Awards. And then some of the other select first place winners that maybe didn't get first or the best in class, but they were certainly award worthy within their own market vertical. So there'll be definitely the best in class winners, and then a certain select few that the judges feel that would move forward or be able to compete out of all the subcategories as well. So the World Label Awards is definitely one that is the highlight of the year for us, and TLMI has done very well in this competition over the years, showing that to me the world's best label printers, the majority of them are here in North America, and we're very proud to be represented there. So if I can just touch on, the size of the company, Linnea, I totally agree with you. It doesn't matter if you're a single rooftop or a multi-rooftop. Over the years, I've seen single rooftop first-time winners come into our competition. So it doesn't, at the end of the day, the label's still coming from a single rooftop, even if there's 20 other companies, sisters around the country. It's still coming from one roof and one team that produced that label. So
absolutely, that's a great
I think
point.
there's a lot of value in still sharing that.
Yeah, and then we just got another question, and it's a great one. And I always love when we get questions because it makes us realize the detail that overlooked on the presentation. So are there other award levels or just the 9 best in class and one best in show? So Paul, walk through, there are more levels. So walk through, Paul, how what the other ones are and how we arrive at the best in class and best in show.
Okay, well, I mean, what happens like this year and in past years, we're going to select the market vertical this year, but then we're going to select the print process, and then we're going to select the method. Was it line and screen tone, or was it color process? And all those are subcategories that each, like all the line work ones for, let's say, an alcohol label that was done, well, let's just say a beverage label that was entered into food under color process, that's going to be in a bucket against some others. And let's say there's 10 of them. Of those 10, you're going to get probably a first and second place award. But there's going to be multiple subcategories with line and screen tone, prime, and then all the different verticals. So there's going to be multiple first places with all those different categories. And out of all those first places in each market vertical, we'll pick a best in show or a best in class from that particular vertical. So, and then that would then go up against the other 8 best in class for best in show. So I hope that makes sense. But by the time we go through the algorithm and it feeds us all and all the different categories, each market vertical will have subcategories that all get first place. And then out of those first places, we'll pick a best in class. And out of all the best in classes of all the verticals, we pick a best in show. So I hopefully that explains it. But there is multiple chances to win, not only first place and second place awards, but then the best in class and the best in show.
Yes, so there will be additional, let's say, recognition, right? The first and second in each of those, just as they have in the years before. And then those do get narrowed down to the best in class in those market verticals to then compete against each other for the best in show.
And if I'm not mistaken, Linnea, I think 35 to 40% of our entries usually generate an award.
Yes,
So if we have, 200 entries, I mean, we're throwing out 60, 70 awards there. I mean, we want you to be recognized. We want you to participate. And I truly feel, and from what I've seen in the past is once you do that and once you hang that plaque, can't wait to see you next year. You will be back. And there's not too many that drop away from this competition. Quite frankly, those that we encourage to participate and those first timers that walk away with an award, trust me, they come back for more. And we're looking forward to seeing them again this year.
great. Thank you. So
And the
now,
videos, real quick, and the videos from last year were exceptional. I mean, our team, these guys made all of us look good. And but more importantly, they made the process and the labels that won look exceptional. And those videos are posted on the TLMI website underneath the awards competition criteria. So I encourage anybody that's on this call, if you want to see what those videos look like that you could potentially have for your label, go look at those videos and you'll really see how we broke down each class and each best in class and then the best in show on those videos. And I think you'll be thrilled to spend a few minutes watching those videos.
that's great. Yes, please do. So we're going to just take a quick look at the application. I didn't want to try to embed the link to walk through it because I can't, and since I'm not submitting an award, I get stopped pretty quickly. So, but I did take screenshots of the pages of the form. So if you go to TLMI.com and under awards, print awards, you'll click on the link to this form. There is a description talking about what you need for that process. You need to complete it. It is 3 pages, makes it sound really long. As Paul said, we did try to reduce the amount of questions that were needed for submission to be judged. The award winners, we will send back out a survey for additional information that we would like to include for those award winners in the publications as well as in the video. And then we do ask, and it is required to send to ship some printed samples to us. We need that for judging for use here, but also for submitting into the Global Label Awards. So as well as some, when we display them at the annual meeting. So what is included? Name of the entry, be sure that it's something that makes sense and identifiable not only for you but us as we're sorting through those submissions and pairing them up in case they get disconnected. This is where it's a drop-down menu. You'll select that market vertical. Again, please make your best guess. If you weren't quite sure, feel free to add additional information here in this describing the end use of that entry. So industry, product type, placement, just anything helpful that you may want to share with us as we sort through this. And then while Paul and the team are not aware of the companies who submitted, TLMI staff and team are. So if we do have any questions, we can go back to you with it. So please don't worry about that. We will be in contact if there are questions. So primary print method, this is where you select, as Paul said, is it digital? Was it inline, offline? We combined some combinations here, which used to be individual, so you can check the boxes that apply. And then, as he mentioned, the process used, line and screen and color process. Then you'll continue, I'm going to click through, but you would be scrolling down or hitting the next page on the form, and it'll ask you for any secondary and offline process that you may have used. So that would be, lamination, foiling, embossing, doming and tactile, varnish coatings, die cutting, stripping, anything else that there may be that that is notable about what you've done for that label. The complexity is certainly there. And then what is really, really important is to really describe briefly any of the challenges that you needed to overcome in manufacturing. our judges are very experienced and can pick out a lot and recognize a lot just by looking at the label, certainly looking at it under a loop. But your description here is really important. And we do ask that you don't include any of the vendor equipment or material information. If you can avoid that, that would be helpful. Just judging the label, not anything else than the quality and the production of the label.
Yeah, really what they're looking for is the degree of difficulty and how well it was executed. And so anything that you can contribute to that, that shows us what challenges you overcame and how well you did it, and what the brand owner expected and how you delivered it. Those are very, very key elements. So again, live products and a great bio goes a long way for us to read and look at while we're reviewing the sample live.
Perfect. And then that's really the last part. So it's the part that does matter, so that we know the company name and the division of that. If you have a division, you know, your address, contact information, etc., email, for you just to certify that you know, this is the time of which these labels were produced. That was May of 2022 to June of 2023, even July of 2023, right? So making sure that it's recent. And then your payment method. There will be that total number of entries in the competition for you to do that. The next screen that I did not include is that payment where you're able to enter your credit card information and pay for it online. So then it will send you a confirmation with the information, as well as sending it to us as well. And what we do with this, it comes out in a really nice form, and we're able to print that out. We do detach the member information from all of the other 3 pages that I just showed you of information, or the other questions. The judges do not see that. Again, that's for TLMI team, for us as we're organizing and preparing for the awards judging. So we had a few FAQs that we came up ourselves. As mentioned, that it's on TLMI.com. You go to the awards, print awards, you'll see the button for the entry form, as well as the guidelines. We did simplify those as well and try to make them as concise as possible, but there still may be questions, so don't hesitate to contact us for that. Currently, the deadline is August 11th. We know that we will receive an increase in entries towards the end. That always seems to do it. Makes us a little bit anxious, but we'll keep it up until then. And then our judging is scheduled to take place in late August. So it is important, so we have time to get those samples and able to organize them and prepare them for the judging that will take place. And we've had a couple people already do it for us. So, you know, average entry time is about 5 minutes max. It's not meant to be labor intensive. So we're hoping that there's value in how we've streamlined it and being really thoughtful about here's what's needed for the judging process. And that was an outcome from our committee who met on this. And then those who won, we will notify you and ask you to complete another survey with other information, which will be things of related to, you know, the material involved, what the equipment was, more specific questions regarding what went into that, so that we can have that information for the announcements, as well as for the media and video and other things that we're going to do related.
And obviously that's voluntary.
That is voluntary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody likes to say, here's my hidden sauce, but we certainly, we want to recognize the suppliers that drive this innovation as well. So even if you're a supplier on this webinar that wants to know how you can encourage or participate, I mean, if you have converter partners out there that are running your applications or innovative technologies that you feel are worthy of doing this, feel free to sponsor their entry. You know, it's got to come from the converter. It's got to be their live product. But if they're using your technology and you want to share in some of the spotlight, then by all means, encourage the entry and maybe even offer to sponsor it, so you can drive some recognition on your own part.
Right.
There's value for everybody.
Definitely. Definitely. So for us, we appreciate your time. And, if you do have any questions, please feel free to email at office@tlmi.com. That's a shared inbox. So there are somebody there watching those emails, and we'll share those appropriately and forward them to the right person. Or you're more than welcome to reach out to me or to Paul Teachout directly if you have any questions, so that we can answer those for you. This presentation, along with the webinar recording, will be available in TLMI community. So it'll be there for reference, and we'll share that information in our upcoming newsletter. And more importantly, we want to thank you for attending and asking your questions. If there's any more, please feel free to do so. And if not, we look forward to seeing your submissions roll in.
And at the Broadmoor.
And at the Broadmoor too. That's right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day.